This week on Bros, Bibles, and Beer.
Like when people say every knee will bow and every tongue confess, oftentimes it's used in the context of conquest. You will bow the knee, but is there any love in that?
Some level of outward pressure. Don't be judgmental. That's a word that's been misused and abused as well too. Like, we make judgments all the time. Judgment can be a good thing. It can be bad. Have a good judgment is good. It's positive. We should have good judgment.
Sorry, kid him. It's like even the big E evolution, the Bible doesn't have a stance on that. So whatever you believe about that, you can be a faithful Christian and follow Jesus and not have to take an ironclad stance unless you have a financial incentive to do, and then you're kid him.
That's why I conserve the things worth conserving, and I want to make progress in everything else. Like, let's freaking conserve what needs conserving and make progress in the rest.
We're back at it one more time. So this time we've got Todd Rodarmel in the house.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
I know.
It's been a while.
It has been a while, yeah.
Welcome back, Todd.
Thanks.
I wasn't going to have a beer tonight, but all of a sudden,
Peer pressure.
something about it's like the Pavlovian reaction is happening. We're starting podcasting. I have to have a beer.
Well, it is called Bros, Bibles, and Beer, right?
Yes.
So if you ever yet had a Bible, I know there have been beers, but I've never seen a Bible in this podcast.
Correct. I mean, very occasionally we have opened our phones to the Bible app, although you never physical quoted it, referred to it.
Yeah. Then we brought out the sword of the Lord.
Actually, the with that new mic you got going on, it might the turning of the page of the physical pages.
Well, yeah, it'll be nifty. Isn't going to happen tonight.
No, you're not break Bible either. Sorry.
Well, cheers. We got to get a little cheers around there.
Cheers.
Good to have you back, dude.
Oh, yeah. Jeez.
And it might be worth mentioning where have you been and why you're back.
And who you were versus and who you are.
Yeah, maybe the very quick in case listeners.
You got a lot. I was pastor at the church where you do all. And I was there for 20 years. And then I retired about 4 years ago and moved to Tennessee with my family and living life out there, doing weddings, running Airbnbs, and doing a little bit of coaching in spiritual direction. And came back because I was out here for a retreat with some friends, and then told Marty, and he said, well, why don't you come speak at church? I'm like, I would love that. I have been disconnected ever since the goodbye, and I haven't been really back. I went one time when the former pastor was there, and now I'm really glad to be there now.
Did you worry at all? I thought about this, and it's like inevitable. Some percentage of people are going to be like, Todd's coming back to speak. What do you think this means? Could it be? Is he coming back? Yeah. Did you catch any of that?
No, I mean, I think there was a little bit of like, I don't know. Somebody made a funny video on AI that would have had me saying that. I'm just glad he did post it.
He sent it to me. Probably sent it to you so you could play it.
Like, we'll splice that. Yeah, it's pretty funny. But yeah, they took a video that I posted saying I was going to be at the church, and then they AI turned it into like a, I don't know, thing me saying I'm coming back to be the pastor. Hey, I'm not doing that. No, I'm really liking a life of irresponsibility right now because my whole life I've been too irresponsible, and so now I am being irresponsible, and good for me because I grew up too fast.
I know you mentioned that on Sunday when we were chatting before that.
Yeah, say more about that.
Yeah. Well, I was 6 years old, probably the first time my dad left home and left me in charge of my mom and my brothers. He basically told me, you're the man of the house now. And I didn't really think of that until I was talking to my counselor about it a little while back, and she kind of brought it up. Because I just had this thing where I'm always responsible for other people and their stuff, and I tend to put myself in positions of responsibility. And I graduated high school at 17, got married at 19, college at 20, got my first full-time job in ministry at 20, and then planted a church at 27. I was just in a hurry to grow up. Mm-hmm. And so I skipped all of like my college years in my 20s where I should have been like having fun. I was like being responsible. So now I'm like making up for lost time.
Do you remember at the time, like, where that pressure for speed to like move so quickly through all those things came from?
You know, part of where it came from is I fell in love when I was 16 with this girl that I wanted to marry. I mean, to be honest, I wanted to have sex with. I mean, I wanted to marry her, but mainly because I wanted to legally have sex with her.
Yes.
And so,
Passion runs hot, Lord.
yes.
Testosterone is all dialed up every day.
I read Romans where it says better to marry than to burn. Or I think maybe this is 1 Corinthians says that. And I just said, oh, I'm burning, so I'm going to get married. So anyway, I was in a hurry to get married. And to get married, you got to finish school, and you got to get a job, and you got to do all this stuff. And so I did it. I did all that stuff. And I was good at it. And I'm still married to that same girl 38 years later, and I love her a lot. And the suburb,
So like her?
still like her a lot.
Okay, yeah, that's good.
She was the best.
That's good.
Yeah.
So that you felt like, but even after then, even after getting married, now still sound like you were pretty driven.
Yeah.
Was that from you internally, or was that?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think, I always liked the stuff that I was doing. I just wanted to do more stuff. I have a lot of ideas and energy for creativity, more than I have for execution. And so, but I think I ended up just executing on some things that I wanted to do, and like started church and things like that. But
Maybe your family's pretty entrepreneurial as well.
our family's very awesome. Our DNA is just deep in the Rodarmel DNA.
Yeah.
My brothers are serial entrepreneurs, and my dad was like, my friend Jason that I've been staying with while I'm here, he's a cartoonist, and he had drawn a picture of my dad like with his coat out and like selling stuff out from the USS coat, because that was just my dad's personality. And yeah, anyway, there's always something up my sleeve like them.
But now that you're, I don't know, would you call this semi-retirement? Or-
It feels like that. Feels kind of like I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do when I grow up, because I did the church ministry thing, and I don't want that much responsibility. And that's why I just leaned into just doing the weddings and like premarital counseling and marriage coaching and stuff like that, because I can still do pastoral work and use those skills and gifts and connect with people, but not have the responsibility for running an organization.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I haven't done is preach, which I got to do last Sunday, and it was so fun to be back doing that. I was like, oh, I missed that part, because I don't get that to what I do. Yeah. I mean, I speak at weddings, but I do the same talk over and over again.
And I feel like when you were still in Mountain View and I was on the board, I feel like I remember you that saying once or twice, you would love a role where you just got to teach.
Yeah.
Just be teaching pastor and not have to take care of the other stuff when there's a lot of other stuff.
There's a lot of other stuff. It's a lot of stuff, as you know, because you were on the board. Your wife was on the board.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, guys, but thank you. Thank you for your service. It is Veterans Day.
We're still here, man.
We're still here. Yeah, still here.
For a while, there was the people that rolled off the board would just inevitably roll off a mountain, Joe. Yeah. Which is understandable. You know, in some ways, you know too much, and
Yeah, and you're just tired, and then everybody comes to talk to you about what's going on, and you're not in charge of it anymore, and so it's like, it's just easier to not be there. Yeah, that's hard.
I had no problem saying, not my problem anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
Quickly, though. I mean, I just kind of smile, and then I'll give an opinion or try to be helpful if I can. But in general, I'm like, I don't know. You'll have to talk to the overseers and see what they think.
That's become my motto. Not my circus, not my monkeys.
I like that. I might steal that.
yeah. What's something you miss the most, and then what's something you miss the least? Like, what do you like the most about not being a pastor? And maybe you kind of hinted at it a little bit, but feel free to be a little bit more specific. And what are some things that you really miss that you?
Yeah, I really miss working with a team and leading the staff team and overseer team, because everything I do is really just on my own, one-on-one, mostly people.
Yeah.
And so I miss the team thing. I miss the preaching thing. I don't miss the preparing thing. Like, I like to read, I like to study, but I hate the Saturday. I just ruined my Saturdays being a pastor for all these years. because I'm just thinking about it and I'm not good at like finishing and coming up with like a finished version. They always wanted me to like turn my slides in by Thursday, and I'm like, I'm not ready until like Sunday morning, like right before the second service. So I don't really know how to turn my slides in or do any of that stuff.
Yeah.
But I did miss the preaching, and then then I missed the beach. But other than that, I really love Tennessee and I love my new life.
Yeah.
I love
Do you think? Well.
Oh, and you asked me where I missed the least. You're gonna say this?
Yeah, that's right.
The thing that I hated the most, probably that I missed the least. That's the greatest thing about not being a pastor, is I don't have to comment on every thing that happens in the world every week, where people want me to get a statement or make a comment, or if I don't talk about this thing that happened, then like I don't care if I don't talk about this other stuff.
It's the correct biblical response to issue du jour.
Yeah, it was like that. I am so glad to be retired from public life.
Well, that's exhausting. Yeah, because it feels like you're always chasing having to be pretend to be an expert on everything that happens, and have somewhat of an informed opinion.
Yeah, I only know about like the Bible stuff, and it's been the same Bible for like thousands of years. So I've had to learn it. I can't keep up like, AI again.
That's tough, dude. And I think about that. Well, when you mentioned that the last mile of putting together the sermons is really hard and like kind of ruins your Saturdays, and I was like both surprised by that. I was like, I didn't get that impression whenever you would teach.
Yeah.
But do you think that would be dramatically different if you were in a purely teaching role? Because there's no way that all the other stuff just doesn't eat into your time.
Yeah, for sure I would do that. But I don't think it's about the role as much as it's about my personality. Because like I'm not in that role now, and it was hell for me to try to get written for Sunday. Oh, yeah. Like in the sense of, it wasn't hell because what I've learned to do is to trust myself that I know enough. It's like I'm good enough, I'm smart enough. Doggone it, people like me.
Yes, I will.
And so I do my daily affirmations.
You're lucky we're old enough to get the difference.
Yeah, I know.
Sir audience.
You don't know, but if you know, you know. But I think it's just hard for me to finish like that, because I always am thinking of like, there's about 1,000. I mean, there's more than 1,000. Problem with my mind is I see possibilities, but I have a hard time like picking one. And so like I see all this stuff, and I know there's a lot of ways I can say this, and then I don't know what people really mean, and I don't know until I'm in the room really how the room's going to feel. And so I really have a hard time like putting something down on paper that I just know is going to be like, I'm going to change it anyway. So it's just, it creates this weird mental struggle that is just this angsty, like anxiety ridden thing that just, I didn't realize how much I'd lived with anxiety constantly until I got out of that job, and I didn't have to do that every week. And it's like, oh yeah, I don't have to do that every week. It's really nice.
It's like taking off a pair of dress shoes you've been wearing all day. Like you sort of,
You don't realize how much they bug you. You pull them off, and it's like, oh, that's good. That's good.
I think the most positive thing that I imagine about the way that you do that, though, is you bring like feel like you bring a playbook of what you want to talk about, and like you described, sort of you're reading the room in the moment, see how things are going, and you get to call plays in the middle of it. And so you got, hey, there's 10 other things that were possibilities that I just am going to choose from one of these to go from, and versus like a roadmap. Yeah, it's not a strict roadmap.
Yeah, it's more like jazz than it is like a straightforward thing. It's like I don't really know what the need is for the moment until I'm in it. So.
And to that point, just like good musicians who have done it more than 10,000 hours, it makes it way more possible for them to improv in the moment.
Yeah.
because at some level they've done it before, so it's just recall.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is I had to start trusting myself that I'm like, I've been doing this for 30 years and I've been studying all this stuff for 40 years. And it's like, if I'm not ready now, I'm going to be more ready. It's not like, I just need to trust, because I can't necessarily remember if I'm ready. I call it, Tracy always makes fun of me, but I say I have random access memory just because I don't know how to access it. It just happens randomly. Like, I remember stuff in the moment. I don't necessarily remember it. Like, when you put me on the spot, like, you ask me a question, and I'm like, deer in the headlights. But then, like, I'm thinking, and all of a sudden it fires. And I'm like, I don't know. It's just a weird other, what do they call that? Divergent or Alzheimer's? Maybe it's Alzheimer's. Is it? Maybe it's being on the spectrum, neurodivergent. Yeah. I just feel like, yeah, I'm a little neurodivergent. And it serves well in some ways.
To say, are cool these days. Everyone wants to be. So I got it. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone needs a label. There's another term for it. It'll come to me, but or not.
Yeah, I don't articulate say that one anymore.
It's come. You still look too N-word. All right, there you go. I got it. Speaking of things, yeah, I had something chambered, and I had to make the stupid N-word reference. I always, whenever Andy uses the term like looking inward, I say, careful, it's so stupid.
Watch out. It's a real using either carry. There's still a C1D for Andy, but it's never not. The first word I'm going, first line son is like, wait, what? Oh.
Okay, how about just something that came to mind. It's silly, but maybe not. Maybe it will lead to some gold we can mine. What's a book of the Bible that you wish maybe should be in there? Or maybe, like, I wonder, I've had this thought recently about biblical scholarship doesn't end. Like, we haven't solved all the riddles. Like, it seems like a never-ending treasure trove if you're sort of keeping up on things. Not that any of us are totally up on all the stuff, but I imagine a future where if we were making the canon now, certain books that are in now might have gotten left out or would get left out just because we know a little bit more about the details of who actually wrote the thing or not. Is there a book of the Bible that is like a least favorite, or you either wished wasn't in there, or you think maybe you might have missed the cut if we were to redo things based on what we know now?
Yeah, wow.
I phrased your question. Or see it at 12 hours.
All right, kick a book of the Bible out.
All right. I actually don't, like, there's a lot of books of the Bible that I don't read very much because I don't get a lot out of them. Like, I don't think all the Bible is created equally. Like, there's some things that are more helpful and more interesting than others. Yeah. You know, it's all God's word, whatever. But, like, in whatever sense that means, it's like differently. Like, you know, some of it's more useful than others. And there's some books, like some of the smaller prophets, that I don't really ever read because I just haven't taken the time to study them and dig in deeply. That I kind of did in seminary at college. That was it. And then there's a couple of like little, like 2nd John just feels like, come on, it's just so short. But what we're realizing, like, this is somebody's mail that we intercepted, and it's like he was one of the big guys. So it's like, we got to keep it around. So yeah, I'm not saying I should get out of the Bible. I just don't find it as helpful for me. So yeah, but I don't think any of it should be cut. I don't know.
So diplomatic.
I had to like some of the ones that are like in the, Apocrypha, like Tobit. Have you ever read Tobit?
No, but my follow-up question was going to be like, which one of the Apocrypha or something that's on the periphery that, maybe is close or should have been closer, considered more.
Tobit's awesome. There's a bad guy in it, and then he gets like bird poops in his eye, and he gets blinded. And there's like some big stuff. It's like, yeah, it's like that. Yeah. I haven't read it in a while, but
yeah, some good stuff in that. Right now, the Book of Enoch is getting a lot of love, mostly because Joe Rogan mentions it almost every.
The Book of Enoch.
Yeah, really. Yeah, just because there's a lot of crazy stuff that could be tied to, and I haven't read it.
I know it's lying that like a lot of people in the
extraterrestrial stuff or demons and
okay, yeah, but in the early days of the church, it was like a lot of that apocalyptic literature. It's part of that kind of genre.
Right.
I think that,
Yeah.
but I don't know that much about it other than that.
And it's quote. I don't remember the book it's quoted. It's in one of the books of the Bible. Quotes a passage from.
Yeah, I think it's the Titus, where he talks about, it's like the hell passage from Titus, where he talks about like spirits being held from the days of Noah or something. Is that Titus or Peter? I don't know. I haven't been a pastor.
I'm going to say yes.
I haven't been a pastor for a while. I'm a little rusty. I'm not a pastor anymore. Let me just clarify. I am not a pastor.
In your
Minutes of Enoch. Our weekly 2 minutes of Enoch. You got to pull forward or move that thing backwards, one way or the other.
oh God.
Hold on. I think it. Oh, it's you hit it. It's forward. Did over King. I love her.
Well, let's watch Andy try to fix things. Look at this behind the scenes stuff. You're repping your friend's company well with that shirt. Oh yeah, chom. Nice.
What do they do? Big teeth.
He makes t-shirts.
Okay. Just t-shirts.
Yeah, not tea stuff. Okay. He's a Josh Reese. Shout out Josh Reese. He's a illustrator, really talented illustrator. Nice. So he does this, but he also does stuff for lots of big companies.
Okay.
Yeah, he draws good. Good drawer. All right. Were you gonna pull up something else before you broke the set?
Yeah. I do. I have a. By the way, it's an honor to be pressing buttons over here. Yeah. It is a different muscle, but I have my favorite person that I lurk on the internet and watch his stuff is he's a self-proclaimed Christian nationalist, I believe. Dale Partridge. We've read multiple of his tweets in the past. Very strong opinions on the role of women. This actually is a topic, and we can spend as little or as much time on this reacting to as we want. But right now, this clip blew up bigly because there is sort of, thankfully, it's a minority position of like hardcore Christian nationalism of what I would say is an unhealthy expression of the faith. But a lot of talk about, hey, we've got some momentum on that side of things. Maybe we should start making some big changes and take America back and do some new laws and whatnot. So this clip was trending, and we can have some fun with it. And Todd, I expect you to speak freely because you're not a pastor anymore.
Well, yeah, I know. Except basically you're doing to me the very thing I said as I've ministered about. It's like you're begging me comment about every stupid thing somebody says.
Yeah.
With no prior information. So this.
With the prior information, I'm just going to comment on something I know nothing about. Here we go.
Yeah. So, all right, let's see what happens here.
Is it good that women can vote in America? I don't think so, and here's why. Nearly every legalized moral atrocity of the last 100 years was made possible by the female vote. Abortion and homosexuality would likely still be illegal if not for the female vote. Mass immigration and the welfare state rode on the backs of the female vote. Nearly every modern Democrat, including Obama and Biden, were elected because of the female vote. Even last night, the new Muslim New York City Mayor Mondami won specifically because of the female vote. The 19th Amendment has been a moral and political tragedy for America, but why? Women were not made to lead, but to follow and to feel. This is God's design.
You can sum me any point. Wow. So real quick, I should have said this before. This guy has previously, a lot of people think he has a burner account that he tweets as his wife because one time he tweeted words that seemed to be his wife doting on his leadership qualities, but it came from his official Twitter account. We read that. That was like...
I'm sure he needs to. His wife probably... He tweets for his wife because that's how their marriage works.
Yeah, and we've read a few tweets about his... the guy, he's definitely not... Like, can I just say he's definitely not attracted to men. But because... I know this because... he is disappointed when women get too strong. He's also railed against women that are a little bit too masculine. They work out too hard. A woman needs to be soft. It's okay to be healthy, but not too hard. A woman with a hard body is a problem. So he's definitely
And his taste. He's moralizing that as if that's a universal.
Yeah, maybe. So I'm not saying that I would never say that he has issues with his own internal sexual.
And I saw the crust of an ab upon her, and I knew the Lord shunned it.
I'm not saying this about him, but often the more people talk about a certain specific issue, the more I'm like, okay, maybe there's something going on under the bed, but we can continue. Okay. Yeah.
It's good within the family and the household, but emotions cannot be what is used to rule and govern a nation. Statistically and generally speaking, women vote for whatever feels most kind or peaceful or safe to their emotions. Women crave security and comfort, and whoever promises those things wins their loyalty. The problem is evil men know this and they exploit it. For example, women are twice as likely to men to be seduced into an affair. They are 26% more likely to be financially scammed online.
Okay, never mind. I did the math really quick. I figured out how to. I'm like, there's 2 people for an affair to know. How can they be twice as?
Yeah. Well,
I guess you have unmarried people in the equation.
in the equation,
Yes.
but also, yeah. How do you? Yeah. Sorry. Through this.
We're all throwing up a little at the back of my.
I think I could take anything for another minute.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're almost done.
All right.
They are 3 times more likely to fall prey to psychics and tarot card readings and astrology and mediums. The same emotional vulnerability that shows up there also shows up in politics. Many call it suicidal empathy. So I believe that we should return to the household vote, where women share their thoughts with their fathers or their husbands, and the men in their life make the final decision. Men are not perfect, but they are far more fit to rule with logic, and they are less likely to be deceived in political matters. So I don't believe that we should repeal the 19th Amendment because I don't love women. I believe we should repeal the 19th Amendment because I love America, and I love American women enough to protect them and our nation from their political exploitation.
All right.
Wow.
Todd, your body language is just saying so much, right? How are you going?
Wow. Yeah, that's hard. I want to try to think of something nice to say.
Do you let your wife think her own thoughts?
Oh, yes. I don't have an option on that. My wife thinks her own thoughts. She has for her whole life.
What does that say about you as a spiritual leader of the house?
It says I'm not a very good spiritual leader, according to that guy's book. Yeah, I am. I mean, I've heard this line of reasoning. Doug Wilson, I think, kind of is that type of a guy about 25, 30 years ago, was like, and I think he's still around, that up in Idaho, kind of preaching that type of a thing. And I actually listened to some of that back then, but I can't. Wow, that's really, he did it again. That's really happening. Stop it. Try to look at the camera.
We're going to edit none of this out.
Stop rolling around. Yeah. Can you look? Well,
See that? There we go. What you see my friend? That's getting out your door. Whatever you did, you know, it really wants to fall into. You did it. So Doug Wilson, where was he from, or what is?
Idaho to Moscow, Idaho. He's kind of like a big into the Puritans, a kind of a reformed, kind of hyper-reformed, like return to Puritanism and return to the 1600s. I mean, I think it's the same thing you get with all of the let's make America great again. Let's return to the 1600s. Let's make Christianity Puritan again. It's like this myth of the perfect past that we got to go back to. And if we could just get back to the good old days when women stayed home and were barefoot and pregnant and the men made all the decisions, we wouldn't have all the problems we have in our world. And it's like, like all the problems in our world are because of progress. And you go, I mean, I guess you could just call me a progressive and just, I don't care how bad you think that it was. Like, I like progress, and I think people's getting rights and people having a say, and like, those are all good things. And it's like, I definitely see that people that, I mean, he probably wants black people to stop having the vote too, right?
Yeah, I've heard that, yes, but it's like progress. I mean, they're sure we're going to take it away from gay people and their rights. It's like another guy that's been trending bunches, Nick Fuentes, and you can find clips of him talking about, hey, if women can't vote and we arrest all the black men, you know, utopia. And the problem with that is, like, you should arrest all young men between like 13 and 25, and then you'll see crime drop through the floor, because testosterone and like there's like biological factors at play, not to mention like economic factors, but the idea of like, oh, because of the particular shade and shape of someone's genitalia, it therefore makes them more prone to something. That's something I just can't be behind at all. Saying,
We've got it down to the shade of their genitalia.
yes, well, I robbed that from Camille Foster from the Fifth Column. If you like political commentary from a bunch of people that aren't like on a team, and so they'll critique every angle as they see fit. Fifth Column's a great for political junkies, but he's a black gentleman that he doesn't consider himself black, but he knows he's black, and he knows what that entails and the way people view him. But he's very much heterodox in like the shape and shade of genitalia, because often you'll hear like, I'm going to put a black woman in this position before they hire him, and
So he said genitalia. He said, I'm going to put a black penis on a white body.
Okay, that man. Yeah, that feels uncomfortable to me. I feel like I maybe came to the wrong podcast.
oh no, this is the right one. But it's kind of a crude. It kind of hits you in the face of like, wait, what did he just say? But really, it's like we focus so much on group dynamics and how you fit into your community and the group or the system you're a part of. That's a part of the equation. But also, like, as an individual, people can make individual choices, and you kind of need that balance of yes, okay, you're a white dude, Andy. Okay, some Cherokee, whatever.
Duh.
But
Illegal or done.
all of us are basically white dudes. Does that mean, okay, because you're white, therefore you believe this and you do this, and that's acceptable, and other things are not acceptable, and if you're somebody else, it means something else.
Are you talking about other people's perception of the things I do and say, or my own? Like, I don't wake up and go, oh, it's time to be white.
No, I know, but more and more we are trying to address ills of the past for good reason on certain groups of people because of their race. An overcorrection would be if, as a black person, as a member of the LGBTQ plus community, and then it subverts.
Yeah, what that is, though, it's asking people to speak for like everybody that's the same color.
Yeah, that's like getting
So am I going to be like, I'm spoken for the white guys? Like that? I wouldn't be good for that, because evidently they don't like most of what I got to say.
But we're starting to
What can speak for the letter people? Like, that doesn't work either.
no one.
They have very little in common with each other. Self-described, very little in common with each other.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Except except they're not.
Except they're others.
Yeah.
So we're putting them all in a category of other, and so then we're labeling people.
Yeah.
But then we expect somebody to speak for a whole group of people, and nobody wants to be the spokesperson for everybody.
But I think that's we just lost that one, but don't worry about it. I will go to it. But you're starting to see, and I want to caveat saying, for good reasons, like terrible things have been done to people because of their group identity in the past, and to a lesser extent today, and we need to see about rooting that out.
Yeah, but still to a big extent today. And
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But the overcorrection, I think you're starting to see white identitarian that I think is gross. You're starting to see a lot of white nationalist white Christians that are starting to like rally behind, like, no, we need to take America back because America is, a white Christian nation.
Why do you think it got to that point? Do you think there were any activities, events, or patterns that occurred in the last 10 to 20 years that in a breaking point for that group of people?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm actually calling out like the excesses of some of the fringe left side of politics has played too much into the group dynamic of like, oh, you are a member of this group, that means this about you, and never mind what you as an individual believe or think or feel or want to do. And that as a result of that, there's a reaction from extreme people on like white nationalist fronts that thankfully is, I think, a big minority. I don't think it's a huge problem, but you can kind of see it starting to crop up with people like they foot to
I
us.
would be willing to bet that there are like I'll pick two things that I think probably was like a bridge too far for that group. I think there's probably some stuff related to school and the perception of a lot of school districts that basically we're here to raise your kids, not you. It's not hard to find clips of administrators and teachers across the U.S. over the last 10 years saying this in some form or other. I think that's a big one. I think the transgenderism stuff hit a wall with probably also groups of parents as well, and women, and then we're like, I'm not okay with a man in a woman's locker room changing, or vice versa. Actually, I've never heard of the reverse, anyone being worried about that. I haven't heard that one yet. But regardless, like you kind of alluded to it, like overplaying your hand. If it wasn't just were people identifying groups and catering to them, it was now this is impacting my life and my family's life in a way that I don't feel good about. And it wasn't just, hey, if you want to do your thing, you can do your thing, and we don't need to, it doesn't affect my life in any way. But now your thing is affecting my life. Your thing is affecting my family's life in ways that I don't feel good about. And so I have a feeling that that became a motivator, and it did reach a tipping point. So, yeah, boys and girls sports.
Yeah, I think it became I'd say on the other side, I think that people being marginalized and finally coming to like be able to speak their mind or advocate for their own rights to like do things or whatever, like somebody that's transgender or somebody these are the things we're talking about, or in the schools or whatever. It's like people not like, it's like, what was I thinking about this recently? Because it's like, people say, well, I want kids hearing that, other kids have 2 mommies or something like that. And I'm like, but their friends do have 2 mommies.
Yeah.
You would try to just like get you to not hate on those kids that have 2 mommies and to accept those kids as normal so they don't get bullied at school, right? That's the point of all of this stuff, is to say, like, these kids were already suffering and we just want you to treat them as human and normal and to not make such a big deal and like bully them. Like, that's where we're trying to create things to protect people. But then it's backfiring into that because it became such a political thing. I think, like you're saying, it was elevated to as a place of like,
there's recognition and then there's advocacy for and influence of behavior. And I think that's the difference. So I think it's I could see a reasonable person who maybe doesn't agree with alternative lifestyles can say, no, I would never want a kid bullied at school because of what their parents chose. Wouldn't be okay for that. On the flip side, I wouldn't be okay with you deciding to teach my 6-year-old about gay sex, and this is how you do it, which is in books.
I hear people say that. but I'd never seen that. So I hear people say that, but like it sounds really alarmist.
I've seen the school board videos of the school board where they're bringing out the actual books. They're like, this is in the library. Let me read you passages from it. This is for the third graders, by the way.
Okay.
Yes.
I think I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I've seen some of the clips and people advocating for it, but it is one of those things where it's presented to conservative Christians as like, this is going on everywhere, and it's just not. And that's not to say it doesn't happen, but there is like, I feel like we are.
I mean, it seems like political tactics to talk about these extreme examples.
You control people through fear.
It's all fear, and it gets clicks.
Scare the base, and then you know, Trump is like the fear on that side of like that Trump is all he can do is evil, and he's going to be the dictator and like take over and not step down. He's gonna go for a third term, all that stuff. There's plenty of examples of like the fear on that side, because if people's amygdalas are activated, it bypasses your ability to reason, and you're more controllable. And so sometimes the fear is warranted, or being aware is warranted, but very often I feel like it's way overplayed, especially in the media and stuff. And so that's why it's like, touch grass, go smile at the cashier, the cashier with blue hair or whatever that is one of the other groups. But if you smile at them and you say please and thank you, and you're like, hey, I appreciate you, like, it's a human interaction that they're going to respond to on average, and it's going to be good, and you're going to realize, oh, that's a human being. And maybe they will see Andy, if you're wearing your MAGA hat that you always wear, maybe they'll see like, hey, he was actually pretty nice for a MAGA guy. I've never seen Andy wear a MAGA hat, for the record. Just
So you don't know where you can get one. I mean, I know where the internet exists.
There's a corner in San Juan where you go down, you got to sell them around the corner.
But Todd, you mentioned you called yourself a progressive, and I know that that's such a trigger word for people.
But if you think it's out there, all my credibility with half the people.
But
It's like you have credibility.
I like to think society at large is pendulum swinging, like extreme, but then there's a correction, and so it brings some of the thing, and then it swings back. It's maybe too extreme on the fringes. But over time, we're pendulum swinging in excess to progress in a healthy way over time, overall, on almost every metric, even given all the political climate over the last 10 years. Maybe there's like a dip with COVID. We took a dip in interactions and the health of overall culture, but on almost every metric, like hunger-wise and I mean, people forget about all of the race bombings and riots in the 60s and 70s, like hundreds and hundreds of bombs and protesting. And this is not like, we're done and we fixed everything. But there has been progress. Like I'm creating word salad. Hey, Andy, I will get off this horse at a second.
Bill, that's it. We got some ranch in the back tonight on that salad.
Well, Daniel Pink wrote a big bunch of thick books about those very issues that you're talking about. He's a scholar that...
Oh, Steven Pinker?
No, Daniel Pink. Another Hank. It's another Pink. It's a different guy. But it's about like how the world is getting better. And war is killing less people are dying in wars now than ever in the world. And even in the 20th century, we say it's the bloodiest century in the history of the world. But the amount of population, when you factor that in, the amount of population in the world and all of those things, it's actually gone way down.
Oh, the per capita
deaths over, time. And so it's like, in every measure, like you're saying, things are getting better. And I know it feels like things are getting worse, but part of why it feels like things are getting worse is because the algorithm highlights whatever is extreme, and whatever causes fear, people click on and they want to see. And it just continues to make this like polarized thing where it's us against them. Nobody in the middle has a voice. Nobody that's actually sane gets heard. The only people we listen to are insane people like y'all.
Yeah.
hear you.
Now we'd like more of you to listen. We'd like even more people to hear.
If you were more insane, more people would listen.
This is true.
I promise you.
You're not wrong.
If you picked a side and you just went all in and were extreme and hateful, everybody would listen.
All right, I'll be Team Trans. You can be Team MAGA.
That's our new side podcast.
Would a little cage fight?
When you go back into the historical context of like the Apostle Paul, for his day he was a progressive. Jesus was a progressive.
Jesus says it's all about making progress from where he was before.
Yeah,
We all make progress.
and the problem with today's Christians left and right is we want to read back into it how we feel about things now in our culture, and we miss like and make them say the things that we want them to say for our day. And there are examples that I think are universal of Jesus' teachings and stuff that we can't apply today that are universal. But very often it's like, no, the Bible was written for me here and now. And we just miss like, no, it was written to people back then primarily. And how can we glean from that? And that's just like my opinion, man.
I think the word progressive is probably, well, it got hijacked by a group.
All the words get ruined.
Yeah,
All
so
the good ones.
now it's
Chomp is still doing well.
still pure.
But I thought it was like dentures. I thought it was like a new brand of dentures that you were
It touches my heart that you remember from all those years of us being together my deep, deep love of dental health and hygiene, dental care. No, but like, yeah, that term did get hijacked because not everything that technically moves forward in the world, like regression is a thing, and you can slap a sticker of progressive on top of it just because it's different or different tomorrow than it was today. That doesn't mean that it's like all beneficial, that it's all better. And I think that conflation starts to happen, and it's brilliant. Whoever named that movement, the progressive movement, like, way to go. Super smart. You did it, because by definition, people will now receive it. It gets logged into their brain like, well, everything they're doing is progressive, and we always want to progress, right? Regression is terrible.
Right, progress is
To do that.
Progress is good.
Well, it's like being pro-life. Like, who's going to be anti-life? Nobody's anti-life.
Right.
It's just you grab a term and then you use it for your advantage, and that's it. It's branding. It's all branding.
I thought it was like professional life. Yeah. I'm getting paid to live. Yeah, that part gets a little murky, and I think that was probably very intentional at some point. Maybe whoever invented that or put that moniker on there didn't realize to the degree at which it would be substituted. But
Well, what's the other word? Liberal. Like with liberality, with freedom, with generosity, like that. Is that a better word?
Well, it has been, but it's just like
That used to be a good word, but they ruined that one. So it's like whatever word you call anything, like conservative. People still want to hold on to that word. The people who have stuff to conserve, all people that have something to conserve, they're trying to hold on to what they got.
And there are some things that should be conserved. That's what should be. Liberals need progressives need conservatives, and conservatives need progressives in ways that they can't imagine. Because I think if Dale Partridge got his way and he had a magic wand to create, he's talked about like Christian nation. All these things are illegal. I've responded a couple times like trying not in like fighting ways, but hey, what you don't realize is that's the way power works in this country and everywhere, but especially in this country, is eventually somebody else is going to have it. They're going to have that ring of power. Like, I've never loved Tolkien more than I do now, because, and they're going to use the ring of power. They're going to use all the things he set up for them to do their will, and you're going to bitch about it, and you're not going to mention Romans 13 once. You hear Romans 13 when it's like, oh, we have our guy in the White House. God has him in position.
So it's fun that we got the right guy, so now you have to listen to him. Before, when they told you to use masks, then you didn't have to listen to them. Right. Now you have to listen.
Yeah. Yeah. Or whatever the thing, but it's like that ring of power. Like, the thing is power. Okay, you outlaw all these things. Even if you kept that power, how do you enforce power? It's through violence. So the government enforces if you don't pay taxes for long enough, people with guns will come to your house and they will take you away. And so that's just an example of a law that most of conservatives and progressives, I think, would like to pay less taxes on average.
I think progressives want to pay more taxes than conservatives. I think progressives want other people to pay more taxes.
Yeah, I would say for them,
I know a lot of people that are progressive and are rich, and they want to pay more taxes because they pay their part.
Why don't they pay more? Well, no one stop.
you can pay. Is there a byline with? You can add a byline where you're like, I'm going to add this much more to my taxes.
Tip line.
I'm
President's doing a good job. I'm making a tip.
Hit the 18, 20, 22% of your tax thing. You hit that button.
It is totally possible for you to pay more if you want to. You can make donations to the government.
But regardless, that's just
Things they invest that they can spend my money better than I can.
Oh, they get
away
away
better than I can.
They definitely can't.
We're deep down the hole. There was a little thing that was mentioned in there, though, and it made me think about it. If we don't want to go down this rabbit hole, that's totally okay. But he did talk about toxic empathy. There's a version of this, though, that I think has been tough for the church, and that it is basically being encouraged or influenced to take on empathy for anyone and everyone in all things, to the point that it can end up diluting what the church tends to stand for. Like it becomes zero lines. It's just
Like what you mean?
accepting of any and all behaviors, even non-biblical, but like the empathy it becomes the most important thing. So
And they're going to Epstein Island and like doing that kind of stuff, like that we mean.
that's pretty extreme, probably.
Or the more stuff like which stuff?
Andy's Epstein. He actually has an Epstein hat right next to his MAGA hat in his closet.
Like the kind of stuff you talk about, like using power to like.
While you're thinking, is there any more beer in this can? To grab one.
Just a little bit in this one.
He's kidding. No, and I'm like deeply regretting just saying that now, because I don't know if I've introduced to. Yeah, I don't like can of worms.
Let's not do that.
Let's not do that.
That's okay.
That's not fun. I don't want to turn this into a boxing match.
I did think about that when he mentioned toxic empathy, because there's Gad or God's.
Said we're not doing it. You're trying to do it.
No, I'm not
going to. Sorry, empathy.
I'm not, but.
I'll tell you about it differently.
Oh, okay.
You go ahead.
He has a book called Toxic Empathy, and we have talked about the difference between empathetic and sympathetic in fairly recent episodes. And so when somebody like Dale Partridge, with whom he's one of those guys, I feel like in the restaurant, even when they're talking about something and you agree with the general position, you're just like, God, can you please just shut the fuck up? Like the guy that's talking too loud so that everyone can hear him. Yeah, and it's that's style, because he's got a small church and he won't let it grow. He's got a big Twitter following, but his church is X amount of members. It's under 1,000, and he's like, as soon as we hit a point, we get people to go and start something new. And I actually like that. Like he doesn't feel like he can be a pastor for more than a certain amount of people. So he's one of those guys where it's like it's testing me to not throw the baby out with the bathwater and be like, I really don't like a lot of his political positions. Everything in that video we played, I do not like, and I would push back against. But then occasionally I'll say something. It's like you gotta pick what's good and throw out the rest. But he says toxic empathy is one of those things where like there's a version of it that you've articulated, Andy, that I can get on board with. But when somebody says that, I'm like, oh, no, don't say that.
What do you mean by it?
Is there no behavior that the church should be like, hey, you probably shouldn't do that?
No. What does that have to do with empathy?
Well, because it can dilute the church's position to a point where they have no line. They don't draw any lines anymore. They don't call people out of bad behavior.
The slippery slope to relatives.
I know you're there, and that's fine, and I won't like challenge you, to coax you out of bad behavior. I'll let you sit in that, and because my goal is empathy. My goal is not to try to like pump you to God's truth is more than your behavior right now.
Yeah. No, empathy works for real change. Empathy works with responsibility. Like we empathize with people's emotions because they, like, all of us need someone that can listen to us and accept us for who we are and love us. Sure. And that's what our parents were supposed to do as we were growing up. And some of them did it well, some of them didn't do it well. But everybody needs, like, to be heard, to be seen, to be known.
And I don't think that's toxic.
No, that's empathy. Yeah. But it comes with responsibility to say, like, you need to, we have empathy, but you're responsible for your life. You have to make your own choices. I can't make them for you. And I can speak truth into the situation, and we can have truth and empathy and responsibility all functioning together. That's when empathy works. Yeah. But whatever that thing is where we just say, it's all good, whatever you want, everything, your thing is your thing, you do you, I'll do me. Like, that kind of tolerance thing is not necessarily helpful. And it's more like what you're talking about.
And it's probably a combination of some level of outward pressure to don't be judgmental, which again is like that's a word that's been misused and abused as well too. Like, we make judgments all the time as people about things, about the world, and about decisions. That, like, judgment can be a good thing. It can be bad. Have a good judgment is good. It's positive. We should have good judgment.
But judging people where you're like considering yourself as the judge, as above them, as you're pronouncing judgment on them, that's different.
Yeah. I'm declaring the future of your life.
You know, like, I get to be the one to make the call. Yeah. That's the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. I know what's good and what's evil. Right.
Yeah. So if it's between the, like, don't be judgmental, which means draw no lines in people's behavior whatsoever, and only empathy is basically saying we'll leave people in their bad behavior, and in the name of love. I love you, and we'll never say, hey, but stop treating your kids that way. Hey, but stop cheating on your spouse. Hey, but stop embezzling. Whatever. Pick whatever bad behavior you want to. Pick whatever behavior that God seems pretty clear about in the Bible, right? Like, is not the way that he wants us to live. And so I think that's what they're kind of reacting to, is that you see churches just go, just come in out true. No one's going to sit down with you and, like, say, hey, this is not good behavior. Like,
yeah. And that's why, and this is what I love about the distinction that Bill and Christy Gaultier make in their book they just wrote on empathy. It's called, what's it called? I want to get in trouble for not remembering this. What are the names? Bill and Christy Gaultier just wrote a book called Deeply Loved. And basically, like, good empathy has to have those things. It's got to have, like, really curing and caring for and suspending judgment. Like, this is the thing I always tell people all the time, because, like, some people really struggle with, they just are naturally jump to a judgment. They jump to conclusions. It's like, I have an experience of a person, and so I put them in this category, and I'm over here. So that's judgment. I've jumped to a conclusion and put them over here. Yeah. If you can just suspend judgment and not jump to that conclusion and just, like, keep your options open, just wait and see and not judge, like, you could be more open to people, and things can change. Yeah. People can change, and people can feel the comfort to be able to make decisions to change themselves, rather than feeling attacked or like somebody's forcing them to change or telling them how to be. And so, I mean, I think in any human interaction, even with kids, it's like, if we can start with empathy, we can make people take their own responsibility. Yeah. And we can speak the truth in love. Mm-hmm. Those things can all go together and not be divided. But it's kind of like, again, we've polarized everything, so it's either or. Yeah. Either empathy's good or empathy's bad. Yeah. Either we're progressive or conservative. It's like, and the binary world of making choices, you're either this or that, is the problem. And that's not advocacy for non-binary people. I'm just saying
We know what your scene is.
the advocacy
Is to say like what you're saying for you to say.
let each person be their own person and stop putting them in a category, calling them this or that or the other.
And people like to do that to themselves though too. There's enough of them.
Well, I think people do.
Of us, we all do that to some degree, I'm sure. I call myself an amazing musician.
And you are.
I'm supposed to laugh harder at that one.
No, I think you're pretty great.
We just saw Jet, real quick on the music thing. We saw the band Jet, Australian band, fantastic band. They're getting back out on the road.
10 years.
That was one of your old favorite bands, like, right? Yeah. Been around a long time.
Yeah, we play when we do the house shows. We play a song of theirs, and there's probably a couple more we should probably add to the repertoire.
I perceive it as a pro. We need to adopt.
Yeah, but I was thinking is like part of it might have been alcohol infused. Like they were fantastic live performance, awesome, but it was very human. Like there were missteps and mistakes, and he forgot lyrics once, and he acknowledged it. He called the elephant out in the room. But also, like listening back on my phone, when it's so loud in the room, you don't realize like everything sounds great and they're performing. It's awesome, but you listen back on your phone. The iPhone is amazing how much they pick up. And you can hear like, oh, his rhythm right now is pretty sloppy, but also it's great because they're human. So, anyways, I was thinking about that like. Andy probably wouldn't play it that sloppy. The longest way I can compliment your musicianship. You're welcome.
Yes. It is very non-sloppy.
Oh, the book was Deeply Loved, which you mentioned, and the subtitle is Receiving and Reflecting God's Great Empathy for You.
Yeah. It's actually really good. He asked me about the subtitle, and I said I didn't like it, but he didn't listen to me, and he did anyway. And I think it actually accurately describes the book. It's just safe. And it actually is, it really is. It is about receiving and reflecting God's empathy for you, because to really empathize for another person is to be the presence of God for them, to listen to them, to see them, to care for them. And it's a good thing.
I feel like if I'm most empathetic in the most positive way, I'm trying to understand the why behind how a person is behaving, like their actions, their thoughts, their words. I'm trying to understand what went into what's happening right now, or what's been happening with you.
Yeah, and that's part of the backstory thing. But it's more like
just the motivator.
Can you tune into, and this is the part that I've learned, especially through working with soul shepherding. It's like, and I wasn't good at this before. Like learning to actually tune into and feel people's emotions, because your emotions are what drive your life. And like this guy was saying, like, we know women are too emotional and you can't have them be in leadership because they drive their men are emotional too. Like all of us are emotional because all of us have been driven by emotions before we ever had any lodging. Our youngest version of our childhood brain, or in evolution, our oldest version of our, like reptilian brain, or whatever you call this.
Have you read The Righteous Mind by Jonathan Haidt? Or Haidt? It's why good people disagree on faith and politics, or religion and politics, and that's his big. The thrust of that book is emotions. We interpret the facts through our emotions and intuition. Yeah. Like it's like the rider and the elephant is a big example, and I'm about to screw up this example, but essentially the rider is very small. It takes a lot to move the elephant one way or the other, but the elephant is our intuition, and the intuition you have based on your experience and your cultural upbringing and all that stuff is like driving the show. And the rider, it takes a while. The rider is your logic, and it's like Ben Shapiro, facts don't care about your feelings kind of thing. But really, you could flip that. It's feelings don't care about the facts, and it doesn't mean facts aren't real and there's not objective truth. However, the truth you're looking for is always primarily you're interpreting the facts through your intuition. It's people do. If you hear well, you can kind of like subvert that a little bit, but most people assume like this guy interpreted through a lot of things, like for sure. But Dale Partridge, his view is like, no, it's these facts, and he's totally blind to the way his emotion is driving the bus.
Yeah. When they call it emotions, because it's like it's related to what puts you into motion. Like it's like really like it's what drives people. Like I may, if I'm going to do something, I may have a logical reason for it. My logic justifies why I did it, but it's not what made me do it. I did it because I wanted to do it. My logic, like, justified that it was the right decision, and I could justify it ahead of time or after, but like I wanted to do it because it was what I wanted. It was because my desire, which is rooted in my emotions, drew me to it. And I think people miss that. They try to separate it out as if you can just be all like head. And I bit a big head on a toothpick, my nose to my left. I'm Big Head Todd.
I was just gonna say that.
I mean, I couldn't believe it when they came up with it was a long time ago, but when I heard this band, Big Head Todd and the Monsters, I'm like, they used to call me Big Head, and it was like a big slam because I actually have a really big head. I like physically, I have a big head. I'm like Patrick Swayze, like big head, like, yeah. And it was, yeah.
Andy's got the perfect hat for you. Our hat's great, we did right on top of that giant head. Some say it's the biggest hair for the biggest head.
That's good. I do feel like I'm paying a little bit for the sins of last night.
That's okay. We saw Jet last night.
Oh, that was last night.
That was your lead over from last night. It was good.
That's why I was like, I think I need to not have a beer. But I had one Pilsner that's light and then a little bit of water for me.
Here, you can have this whiskey because I started drinking it and it just like a heartburn. Not good. Dude, Goals sucks. Giggles, man. It is. It's getting old. It's not good.
Was that more of an emotion statement or a factual statement?
It started with my head. It ended in my heart.
Backstory, or is that like?
That is the book, though. It's called The Righteous Mind. If somebody says like, "Oh," and actually this does happen occasionally through conversations, like when somebody asks me like, "What's a good book?" The Righteous Mind. I listen to it like once a year. Jonathan and I, Why Good People Disagree on Politics and Religion, I think is the subtitle. But it's all about just like why discuss mechanisms get triggered in people's brains and why that differs between the average conservative brain versus the liberal brain. And I think he's an evolutionary psychologist, which, depending on your faith proclivities, don't let that trigger you. It's like a lot of data-driven stuff.
Don't let it trigger you. Nothing in the Bible prohibits you from believing in evolution. Please.
Oh, now you're just triggering everyone. Yeah.
Sorry. Oh, I thought.
I'm with you. No,
Depends on what you mean by abolition.
Okay.
Is what they would most people would.
In the Bible,
I just mean well, I don't mean the blindness of that there's no God or something. We're not talking about denying that. I'm just talking the physicality of looking at the evidence and making conclusions based on science.
the Bible doesn't have a stance on.
The Bible doesn't take a stance.
No. The usual argument is the big E evolution, that like if we only found the missing link, then the whole thing would be. That's the one that most people.
Are you still working on a missing link?
I've not heard about it. I felt like I heard about it a lot when I was growing up.
I think I have it. Really, look at this brow right here. You right there. I got a built-in sun visor right there.
No, for sure. I did 23andMe, and I found out that I am 99% more Neanderthal than most people. I have 99% more Neanderthal DNA than the average person. So
I don't even know what that.
if you want to see prejudice against somebody, be prejudiced against the Neanderthals. That's me. I'm identifying as a Neanderthal.
We did call yourself. You called yourself a progressive earlier. So
Progressive Neanderthal. I know. They got extinct.
Yeah, we heard you say it the first time.
quit pitting yourself. But yeah, sorry, Ken Ham. It's like the Bible, even the big E evolution, like the Bible doesn't describe. It doesn't have a stance on that. So whatever you believe about that, you can be a faithful Christian and follow Jesus and not have to take an ironclad stance, unless you have a financial incentive to do, and then you're Ken Ham.
Not the data unbelief and big E evolution, by the way, in case you're listening. But other evolution, yes, for sure.
Yeah. And I'll just say,
The pinky toe is going away, guys. That's just science. I'm agnostic about 1,000 years. We'll be four-toed beasts.
at this point, I'm agnostic about that. Like growing up, it's like, this is the thing. Like Ken Ham will say, and Kent Hovind was another one. He ended up going to jail for tax fraud and is on his, I think, his third or fourth marriage. But I see posts from his son. Shots fired. I didn't mean to do that. I'm sorry. Didn't like throw him under the bus. But the idea that you can't, they would say like, you can't get the gospel right if you don't interpret Genesis. You don't right away. Yeah. And that's where I'm like, get off that train, people. There's a bigger picture going on. Whether or not it's true. Like maybe it was 6 literal days, that's fine. But if you don't think that's the case, based on whatever reason, you can still follow Jesus.
Yeah. So, I actively don't want to talk about.
Andy keeps boycotting stuff.
I know. Well,
You should pull a filibuster on them.
Is your deck?
it has been. He has been this whole episode. He's been doing it.
I did. I got him to comment on the things that I don't want to talk about this, but then on toxic empathy. But then you guys had a good little dialogue. I like to take credit for that. I triggered a good dialogue.
It was all right. It didn't go in the bad direction where it started to go, where I got a little hostile and I started like poking bear. I didn't mean to do that. I'm sorry.
So was not prepared that.
I was good. I didn't mean to poke the bear.
Let's go poked.
I'm not as not that way.
No, this is podcasting that I'm not about it.
When do we need to have like a well thought out but not? So these are opinions, and there's your opinions, and we reserve the right to change them.
It's my opinion, and I don't work for the church anymore. So it's my personal opinion, not any representation of any organization.
So I might be wondering, Todd, to work for. You don't work for the church. Are you the church though? Still, for sure. Okay.
I'm part of the bride of Christ. I'm the body of Christ. Jesus.
So you're transgender Christian.
Okay. Jesus.
You are Jesus. Wow. There we go. We got our soundbite on the presence of Jesus.
I'm right. Show it up. This Jesus. And that's my job.
As gay are supposed to be Jesus and the people around. Yes. You said it. Actually, I'm really happy. There's the line that you mentioned on Sunday, which is how we love God is how we love others, and vice versa. And you gave I appreciate also the disclaimer. It's like, not that you can't have direct worship in any loving way to God, but kind of the way that Jesus set it up for us is love the people around you. And I love how I've heard it interpreted in the Bible when Jesus asked him the greatest commandment, that he intentionally like ties those two together, like on purpose, because that's how it works. It's love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. But he sticks them together on purpose because that's the formula. Yeah, and that feels way more tangible to me.
Yeah.
I think that the two biggest revelations I've had, maybe in my Christianity in the last 20 years, has been that realization. And then the other one was I had a really bad, not accurate view of what heaven was, and it just never sat well with me. And I remember even as a kid, when being asked, "Can't you wait?" Can we go to heaven? Right? It's gonna be great when you go to heaven. And as a kid, I was just like, I don't know.
They'll be dead. That does.
That doesn't sound good. It doesn't sound cool. Like, I was lucky. I had a good childhood growing up. Like not that I didn't have any problems. There were enough problems. I'm not trying to compare my problems with anyone, but there's so many things in the world that I loved. I'm like, it's beautiful, and there's fun, and there's joy, and there's adventure, and there's like such good things. So I gotta like say goodbye to all of that. It's done, no more. And that's why there's always, so I could go to like the eternal church service in the sky.
Yeah, that sounds miserable.
It didn't sound good to me. And then, over time, I'm like, that's actually not what's described.
Yeah.
And And the Bible Project guys, their short video that describes what heaven is, and is so efficient and so effective, and was a great way. That wasn't the moment in time where I realized that, but that I think they did the best way of explaining it that I've been able to pass to other people and pass to my kids. Okay, this is what it means. God is renewing the heavens and the earth. He's renewing earth to be back to what he wanted it to be originally. So the good, I interpret that as the good things that we love, will be even better. They're not going away.
Yeah.
It's renewed. And that for me was oh, okay, this is a helpful way for me to think about this part of my faith.
Yeah, that's so good. Well, that's the thing is I just don't think I don't think the Bible talks as much about heaven and hell as people think. It's all of our ideas about heaven and hell are just built by so many things, but the Bible doesn't really say much about either of those things. It's it uses the terms,
Refers to them, but not.
and it does use them ever together. It's important to notice that the Bible never, ever anywhere in the Bible does say heaven and hell, in the same sentence. It always says heaven and earth, heaven and earth, heaven and earth. And then Jesus talks about hell, and there's a couple other places that use different words. But no, never is it heaven and hell. Because they're not opposites. They're just not in the same category. It's not even it's just not in the Bible, the way the Bible does it. But the way we think of it, it is.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just so much of our thinking. We just don't think through how we got to our thinking. And there's just so much history to, in the way we use words that are not, they confuse categories. It's and that's the thing about words. They only work in their, when you look something up in a dictionary, it gives you a bunch of different definitions, and they label them all, and tells you it means this in this context. 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 And it's you just have to know what game you're playing to know how to use the rules and play.
Yeah, and on the heaven and hell thing, if not being in Christ results in you going somewhere called hell, whatever it looks like forever,
I don't think somebody told Paul. I don't think there's anything in Paul about eternal damnation.
Yeah, he didn't write anything about it.
And that,
don't worry, conservative Christians, doesn't mean hell doesn't exist. You can still hold on to your hell. But though it's in your basement, probably. It might be.
Sorry, all conservative, I love conservative Christians.
No, and we need and I try to keep one foot. I try to balance myself out, and I also hang out with Andy, and he's more conservative than me on a lot of things, and he tests me. He cuts me through hellfire to forge.
I don't let my kids watch The Shining when they're 10.
Unlike me. Oh, was it 10? Every time I mention it, I guess the age goes down.
That's a scary movie. I think I saw both ends, but I don't remember because I turned it off and I was scared to death. But it seems I still hadn't seen it. I think all the way through.
One of the things, based on what you guys, I'm sorry, I have a thought. So whatever you guys were just saying, I'm gonna go back to. By the way, I do love The Shining, and I did show my kids that probably at an earlier age than they. She's a genius.
I like that guy. It is one of my favorite books.
Did they make a movie on it?
They did. There's multiple movies. There was a made-for-TV movie, which is the most terrifying made-for-TV movie ever. And then there's been
the clown one.
Yeah, Pennywise the clown.
Yeah, he was.
He banned it. But yeah, Manhattan Beach.
Real quick though, what I was thinking of in how you love God is how you love other people. But if you don't, one thing the Bible doesn't really talk about, but it's evident through just modern understandings of human emotion and how we handle things, is if you don't love yourself, if you hate yourself, it makes it difficult to love other people well. And Courtney Lancaster talks a lot about this, and we've had her up before. We probably should have her back. We had our most viral moment when she was on a year or so ago, maybe a little bit more, where
100,000 views on that or something.
The Instagram reel about her least favorite worship song when that's because she dropped an F-bomb, and it was, I think it was a Bethel song, and it was like, and I posted it because I agreed with her sentiment, and I wasn't trying to throw her under the bus, but it just ended up in so many comments that were just like, how are you're a heretic. But anyways, she talks a lot about human emotion and healing, and her podcast Heal Create, of which I was a guest not that long ago.
You're a great guest. I listened to that episode, and I started following her after that because I never saw her until I knew you. Was near you, so thank you. I liked her.
Since the beginning of time, we were known since a long time before. I pre-knew you. We just got a little gay. That's what we guessed in you.
We mean God.
Beside with Jesus.
But you've always been gay. Since the beginning of
Time. I'm gonna say never gay. Most gay. But yeah, loving. If you can't love yourself, it's hard to love other people. Sure. And especially if you know God as Father. Todd, you talked about that. Like if God being a good father, it's like if you had a shitty father, man, that can be a real roadblock.
Well, that thing will teach you about the love of God more than being a father or mother. I mean, when you have your own children and you love them, you just need to rethink your faith in light of that and go, like, how would I treat my kids? And how do I think about my kids? Like, am I going to send them to hell if they screw up? Like, what parent does that? Really messed up parents. Not God. Like, but that's what those people are saying about God. If you're advocating for that, that's what you're saying about the God you believe in. So you might want to rethink. And we become like the God we believe in. And so people do a lot of really messed up parenting things because their view of God is messed up. Yeah. They think that's how God is. And so they become like that. And then,
we become assholey. Assholey. I like that. That's good. Yeah. And that's one of the things I said on when I was on Courtney's podcast is I think a lot of good conservative Christians are way better parents than the God they believe in.
Yeah.
Because they would never do the things that they believe God will subject his children to if they don't make the right decision, i.e. like come to a proper understanding of faith, which eliminates grace altogether. Like if grace has conditions on it, it's no longer grace anymore. And I know that's kind of heterodox for a lot of people and it's understandable, but it's where I'm at right now. And using it, but maybe I will. I don't know.
Yeah.
You're good parents out there, people.
Or you're not.
Is it or you get your feelings?
But I can guarantee you're not better than God.
right, and
if you're let's pick the best parent you could imagine. Then imagine somebody better than that. God is that with which you cannot imagine something better. Yeah. Like. If you can't, if you think and suck wrong with God, just imagine the best you can imagine and then, think better than that. And then, that's the bottom rung for God that he could possibly be, just by definition.
Yeah.
So,
And if it's true that you happen to be a better parent than God is in terms of loving your kids and forgiving them, then we're all fucked. Can I just say that?
Yeah, humanism. What's the point of worshiping a God like that anyway? Because we're fucked either way.
It's just it's a glorified Caesar dialed up to 11 that's going to enforce things. Like when people say every knee will bow and every tongue confess, oftentimes it's used in the context of conquest. And so it's rep. You will bow the knee. But is there any love in that? If every knee will bow and God is looking for our allegiance and our love, what if there's an interpretive lens we can look through where eventually every knee will bow out of subservience and love and honor in a way that isn't forced?
Now, people because the view of God is that he's like someone who would just want people to make statues to him and bow to him and do whatever he says. But like, the picture we have of God is like Jesus. Jesus didn't do that. He wasn't like that. Like, he's not like Donald Trump. Like, I don't want to get political about it, but like, the image
He's not like any politician.
of any politician. Like, he's not like Newsom. It's not like it's not Trump. It's not his politics. It's the personality of a person that thinks they know everything and they want to force it on the world.
Right.
God's not like that.
Right.
God is not like that.
Yeah.
And if we is,
Who are coming to the end? Because I just said we is then they do be.
Hey, is, was, were, be, being, been, has, have, had, do, does, did, shall, will, should, could, may, might, must, can, could.
and we're in a clip now, and wow,
Just, those are the being verbs. Those are all the ways you can be.
Didn't grow up in a charismatic church, so I can't speak in tongues like you do.
yes, oh yes, you can. You taught us one time.
That's right. I did teach you one time. Arab Hyundai, bada Hyundai, should have bada Hyundai.
I speak in tongues when I cuss.
There's one. If I stub my toe, I was like,
Anything that I've seen Kenneth Copeland
you do. I know. I say what's in my heart. Yeah, I'll let it come out. While you guys were talking about that, I did think about this. We chatted about it before, but another like revelation for me, and feel free to disagree if this is not the way that you think it works or has worked. But I'm more convinced now that Jesus' death on the cross was forgiveness that happened at one point in time for all humanity, backwards and forwards in time. And that our positions as humans is not to be forgiven again. It is to recognize.
Yeah, to believe. We're called believers because we believe it's true.
Yeah, we recognize.
We believe that what he did is true, that he forgave all our sins once and for all, before we ever committed them.
Right. So the story of the prodigal son coming back up the road.
Yeah.
The father doesn't go up to him and go, I forgive you again.
Right. Yeah, he didn't even have to forgive him.
He didn't.
Because he swept him home, because the son actually, and actually before the son really believed that he was welcome home, he kind of believed it. That's what I love. Like my grandfather, I was, back when I was younger and I was in my 20s, I really felt like, because my grandparents, when I was a little kid, I think I was probably like, I must have been like 8 or 9. And like I asked my grandfather, I said, Pop, are you going to go to hell? And he goes, oh, why do you say that? Because I'm always making a fire. Because he would always he'd make it a fire by the fireplace. And I said, no, because my dad says you're going to go to hell. And, well, that started this big thing between my dad and my grandfather. It was my mom's dad. So they were Catholic, and my dad was Baptist, and his name was John. So they called him John the Baptist. There was always tension because he got my mom to convert to being a Baptist and left the Catholic Church and all of this. Yeah. And so I grew up in this version where my dad was a Reformed Baptist, and he was pretty clear that my grandfather was going to go to hell. I didn't like that, but I asked my grandfather about it, and that was the story. But then my grandparents came to church. I started church, and they came to it. And then I was always praying with my grandfather. And I asked my grandfather one time, I said, Poppy, do you believe in Jesus? Like, do you believe he died for your sins and he gave his life for you? And that he's the Son of God? And he goes, yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. And I go,
yeah, Poppy, that's good, because Jesus said if you have faith like a mustard seed, just a little bit, like a really small faith, that's enough to move him out. And that's plenty. Jesus got you. And I just felt good about where my grandfather was at after that, because I had this view that if he didn't, somehow believe or whatever. But I do think there's that thing of the whole point is you just believe it. The only difference of whether you believe it or not is how much you get to enjoy your life.
Yeah.
Do you actually believe that you are loved and accepted and forgiven, and that God is crazy about you and that he's coming to restore all things and that things are going to get better. And like a mustard seed takes over a whole field, that the world's going to continue to get better. Do you believe or do you not? Do you believe that Jesus is the representation of what God's like? He's actually like that he wants to heal people and set people free and get, or do you have to even something different? And it's like, the only difference is whether you get to enjoy it in this life or not.
It is. It's like I feel like there's gates to this. There's, do you believe or not? Yes. Okay, I do believe. Oh, then to what degree do you believe? And what you're describing is the degree that you believe will directly impact what your life looks like on earth, at least your experience of it. It's not, and that's not meant to be like, that's the easy road. Just become a Christian and believe, and then it's all good. No, right? New listeners who are like thinking that's what I'm saying. That's not it at all. But
Giselle, do I believe that I'm completely alone in this world? Or do I believe that I have a heavenly Father who loves me and cares for me? And I have, like, that I was created in the image of God, and I fell from that. But Jesus, who is the perfect picture of the image of God, showed me how to live. He's like the model man. He's a humble God and a model man.
Yeah.
And like, that's what Jesus is. Like, he is the humble God who shows us what God's really like, because we all have these pictures of God in our mind and we've all missed it.
Yeah. And I don't know why it feels important to me that, like, that distinction that, like, the forgiveness has already occurred.
Yeah.
I need to unpack that more, but for some reason it's tough. It is important to me.
Yeah.
And like something about that, I guess I think too, when I imagine people who are resistant, a lot of times, like I've encountered people who are, this is a common belief. If you only knew what I've done.
Yeah.
Oh, how can that be forgiven? Yeah. Right. And the role that shame and guilt plays in keeping people from what Jesus is calling them into. Jesus calling them to believe.
Yeah.
I think that's in Hitler's journal. I'm just kidding. If you've only known what I've done.
Yeah, no, but seriously, like that the Hitler's the example that people always use and throw out, but like what Jesus prays from a cross, Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they're doing. Like, who's he talking about? Like, that's a good question. He's talking about the Romans? Is he talking about the Jews?
Or just the people that were right there?
Is he talking about his disciples? Is it just the people that were right there around the cross? They're the ones that they don't know what they're doing. None of us know what we're doing, and we've messed it up. And his stance, his position is, Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. And the hard part about believing in a forgiveness that, like generous, is we want somebody to pay. We want other people to pay for what they did. We don't want to pay for what we did.
The older son in the prodigal story.
That's the exact picture. And it's the reason religious people have the hardest time with Jesus. Like, religious people miss Jesus more than anybody else. I bet you the average person on the street that's never been to church believes in Jesus more than most Christians, because they believe Jesus is loving, forgiving, all these other things. And so many Christians don't. They're still holding on to, like, we're going to make somebody pay, and I'm still making myself pay. It's like back to what you said, Zach, you will love your neighbor the way you love yourself. I guarantee it. Like, if you hate yourself, you're going to be hateful toward your neighbor, because you're projecting all of your bad stuff onto your neighbor, and it's the same stuff you do, and so you're condemning them for it, and it's like, we got to forgive others and to receive forgiveness. It's all bound together, which is why Jesus said, if you don't forgive, you won't be forgiven. It's not like God's holding out on you. It's just, if you don't live in that circle of forgiveness where you're like receiving it and giving it and letting it flow, you're just stagnating and trying to hold on to it and fix the world with your own stress.
And there's just not people don't talk or do a great job in church describing what God's characteristic of justice really means. And I think it's complicated. I think it's a hard one, because there is at a core at the core, people's in the most charitable description of how they're feeling, someone has to pay. It's because
Justice is achieved with retribution. Like we have to punish. Retributive justice. Like most people in their minds, like for justice to be achieved,
evil was done.
So we must punish and we must take back what was ours or whatever version of it.
Well, and it's like a I mean, it's that sense of fairness that every kid has when they get like,
It's not fair.
like we all feel that, like it's not fair.
Yeah.
You can't, and I don't, and it does sound, and I know to people that have been really hurt by somebody, it sounds cheap to say God forgives that way. I get it, and I think there are some things that I would never want to forgive.
Let's go around the room and name some of those things right now.
Yeah.
So let's talk about it.
Real quick though, before, based on kind of your conversation, I did step out to grab a beverage, so forgive me. But a couple verses came to mind.
Do you guys have catheters, or should I step out?
No, you can. They're diapers. The same has been brought to you. Huggies. It's for men. When you really gotta go, but you don't want to have to go. You really gotta go, but you don't want to leave. Oh, I just did it for you, Huggies.
That's right.
That's it. Huggies for men. When you really gotta go, but you don't want to leave.
You know, with the last road trip Lisa and I did to Matt Sather, once upon a time he's been on the podcast, friend of the show. Has he produced? I don't think he has. Anyways, old-time listeners will know who Matt Sather is. He lives in Idaho now. Iowa. Idaho?
2x7.
God damn. Gosh. Hits anything. Well, I haven't been talking much, so I'm trying to fill it with as many words as possible now. But it was...
Tell me more about how Matt once was on the cats swing back in the day.
Anyways, we did buy adult diapers for a road trip to Dratch's house. Oh, which is like it's a 15-hour drive, and I wanted to do it for the story, but in the end I couldn't do it. I couldn't put the diaper on. I'm just gonna stop.
That's too much.
Yeah.
That's a bridge too far. That's a leak too far for me, man.
So see, I don't know if where's the time start? We're getting there, right?
That's any time. Okay.
I need to mention
Recent verses.
some verses that I think are food for thought.
But the Beer and the Bros Bibles.
I mean, the Bible. Whoa, you just projected, Andy.
Okay.
Andy only cares about beer on this podcast.
Well,
Oh, the beer I really. So, Colossians, and my lefty Christian friends that might say Paul didn't write it. It doesn't matter. There's some nuggets and consistency.
here's who wrote it.
Yeah, I still think Paul wrote flexing. But the idea that like you're alienated from God. Why are you alienated from God? And that's some of the stuff you're talking about with forgiveness and stuff. Colossians 1:21. Once you were alienated from God and were enemies in your mind.
Yes,
Because of your evil behavior. It's not saying there's no sin or that, there's not evil and you don't do shitty shit.
Yeah.
But in your minds, you were alienated from God. And you see that with our kids. Like, sometimes with our kids, when they do something wrong, they're like, Dad hates me. They hide.
and you don't hate. Never once did it occur to you to hate them.
Never once. And in our best moments, they're already forgiven.
Yeah.
My worst moments, I'm like, oh, I'm so pissed. I need to say the thing, something. No, but in my best moments, it's okay. Let's talk through this. But my disposition, my love for you has not changed at all.
Right.
Yeah.
And the other verse that came to mind that's worthy of chewing on is 1 Timothy 4:10. This is why we labor and strive, because we have put our hope in the living God, who is the Savior of all people, and especially of those who believe, which sort of ties into, Todd, you were talking about like how you experience things in the here and now.
Yeah.
Like somehow, like if all people are saved, especially those who believe, like maybe there's just a distinction whether you are aware of your salvation or not. Which I know some of this stuff is outside the box of a lot of orthodoxy, but it's worth.
That's not outside the box of orthodoxy, because orthodoxy goes back to the Nicene Creed, and like the Nicene Creed doesn't say anything contradictory to that, and so I think
You're a little bummed on that, huh?
accepted Christian,
How dare you, Andy? I'm okay with it. You're not progressive. Look at you, conservative.
Deep.
I mean, that's as conservative as you can get, going all the way back.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's why it's like, I conserve the things worth conserving, and I want to make progress in everything else. Like, let's freaking conserve what needs conserving and make progress in the rest. Like,
Which is why we need each other.
Yes.
Conservative, progressives, and the progressives.
well, just like husbands and wives and lions and tigers and bears. Oh, my. All right, sorry.
Like,
You did say something. You said something really powerful about something, but I don't remember what it was.
We just lens.
that
Is
yes.
you're not what? It is tied to the idea that we have already been forgiven, whether or not we've chosen to believe it. And it is the moment that we recognize it,
That you receive, that you feel it.
that we feel it and experience it, the benefit in all ways, natural and supernatural.
Yes.
And that part of that is tied to our beliefs of who we are and who we think God thinks we are, that enemies in our mind, and what our relationship. So once we're able to get rid of that idea that we are enemies of God in our mind.
Yeah. Well, that's like Adam and Eve in the garden, right? They sin, and then they run, and they hide.
Yeah.
Because they think they're enemies. And God's like, hey, where are you guys? Come on, let's play. And they're like, oh, we were hiding because we're naked and we're in trouble. And he's like, who said you were naked?
Yeah.
And then he comes up with the whole sacrifice thing. Not because God needs a sacrifice. This is the thing that's so frustrating about the way people present the Bible, as if God needs a sacrifice. Somebody has to come forward and make a sacrifice so God can be happy, and so that justice can be served. It's like, God doesn't need that. We needed it. We're the ones that were like, and God's like, I'll make you some clothes. Sacrifice comes because God condescends to us. And sacrifices and all these sacrificial religious rituals were created because people had a guilty conscience and they needed something to appease it. And they're like, if I just give the great sacrifice of my life, then I'll feel like God can accept me. God accepted them all along. He saved them before any of that. But for some reason, we just have this thing where we just love to, I don't know. We feel like we need to do more.
That's so beautiful.
That is where our murky deal of justice. I guess, once again, I wish that the church would do a better job of really unpacking what God's characteristic of justice actually means.
Because, Andy, often it's when old listeners will know our conversations with Scott when he's on the podcast. We love you, Scott. Scott is doing great. He's in Montana.
I don't really love you very much, Scott, but how dare you? I mean, I remember you, and I really never really liked you, but anyway, it's easier to say when you're not here. So
I think it also, not Pastor Todd is like, I'm gonna just say this. Yeah, but no, if you talk to Scott now, you would like him. Scott is a different guy. He's already married.
no, I liked you, Scott. I just like to give you a hard time.
Everyone did. So our disagreements or my disagreements with him, and on the podcast and often after the podcast, we would go well into the hours of just back forth, and often it was on when I would call out one of the verses you mentioned when you were preaching, Todd, on Sunday was the 1 John, love is of God. That was a powerhouse of a verse.
1 John 4, 7, and 8.
Oh, yes.
But where there is love, there is God. And the answer is often, to your point, Andy, yes, God is love, but he's also justice. And that's where it's like, no, it never says once that God is, his essence is justice. So whatever justice God enacts, it is filtered through the idea that God is agape love.
Yeah, which are great distinctions, Zach. I like that.
They're big it up. It might not be.
Well, it'd be true, but it sounds really good. But the idea of God is love, because it's a really weird way of saying it, because it's not saying God is loving, and there's no place where it says God is joy or God is hope or God is. I mean, it says God is great, but like that's more of a superlative. Like it's not the same kind of thing. It's like to equate God with something. It's a big deal, and I think everything needs to be measured through that lens. And if it was just that statement that we were relying on to be that, yeah, of course it doesn't hold. It's just one statement. It could be taken out of context, but Jesus is the embodiment of what God looks like, and he looks like love. And that's why I was saying, like, I think most ask an average person on the street who's not even religious about Jesus, and they probably get that about Jesus.
Pretty cool dude.
Right? They probably see him as loving and all these kind of things that embody love, because that is what God is like. It's not what, like God's son somehow turned out different than his dad. It's like he is the embodiment of what God is like. And in the beginning, God created humans to be just like him, and Jesus was the prototype of what that is. Like he is that. So he's like the whole culmination of what humanity is supposed to be and the perfect picture of what God is. And so it's like, and that's why I would never be something other than Christian, because it's like, I don't know what else you could be. Like some idea of God as just an idea. It's just an idea until he actually puts human flesh on and he shows us, like, this is what God looks like.
Yeah. Yeah, I have, I think we're probably landing, and I'll give Andy the final word after my word salad I'm about to create right now, so pass the ranch. I can be pretty agnostic-y, and I don't think that's a dirty word, but the idea of agape love, and the more people that buy into the idea that God is love, and if you are like God, you love, and if you love yourself, you can love others better. The more my family does that, the more the community does that, extend outward, that the world will be a better place. And I feel like it is the mustard seed. So the idea of the Christ, there's no greater love than this, that to lay down their life there for their friends. Like, that's something that is tangible even in my biggest moments of doubt. And so I can be like, yeah, right now I feel very strongly about X, Y, and Z, and I don't feel strongly about A, B, and C, or whatever. Mix of letters I did mentioning. But love, the more love happens in the world, like true love, and not in the woo-woo, just love each other, man, but self-giving love, like that will transform the world. And sometimes I feel more identified with the faith of my childhood, where it's like I believe all the doctrinal things in ways that are stronger, and sometimes I don't, but that's what ties me to Christian faith still, where I would sort of call myself a Christian, depending on who I'm talking to. Like, not if you're picturing Greg Locke or someone else.
Well, that's what I love about I think you stepped out of the room when I told my grandfather's story, but like, that's why I love my grandfather's statement when I asked him if he believes that Jesus is, forgives his sins and died for him and all this stuff. He said, even a little bit. And I'm like, I just think that's enough. Like Jesus said, if you have faith of a mustard seed, that's enough. Like, it's not like you have to have it like strong faith, like believe it all really hard. It's like, you just trust him. It's just about trust. And that's what belief is. It's like, it's not believe like by all the versions of the story. It's just, you got to trust somebody You got to trust in the very heart of God that it's good and it's for you and that he forgives you and that he loves you. And through Jesus, Jesus is the expression of who he is. That's it. Like, we trust him. And
Well, and I think the most human verses in the Bible is that, yes, I believe, help my unbelief. Like, that's perfect. And any of us who, like, we should all remind ourselves that we're at some level of that at every point in the day.
every day, I don't believe perfectly ever.
No.
And I struggle, and I've struggled with all different aspects of my faith and questioned different things, but it's kind of like the disciples. I keep coming back to Jesus. I'm like, where else are we going to go? You got the words of eternal life. I don't know where else I'm going to go.
I love that. Listeners, I know where you guys can go. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for hanging in there, Andy.
Yeah, what have you been hanging in there?
I don't know, like we made you go places that. No, it was good. I think it ended up being great.
It was great.
Well, I'm going to go a place that's uncomfortable for me. I'm just going to put in a shameless plug for my book because I'm like, somebody just tell me today, he's like, hey, you wrote a book and you never talk about it. Why don't you ever talk about your book? I wrote it 5 years ago. I'm on to something new. I'm doing this stuff. Write music. And he's like, no, talk about your book. It's on for sale on Amazon. I'm like, okay, buy my book on Amazon. Buy it on Audible. Buy it on...
Talk to that gamer right.
Buy it on Audible. Buy it on Amazon. Buy it, get the...
Tell them what the book is called.
It's called Sustainable Spirituality. And it's basically the stuff I've been talking about and my view of how Jesus works and the faith works. And it's more of a guidebook, like it's like a workbook, and you work through it with somebody else or with a group. And I wrote it for our church originally, and we went through it. And it was kind of based on what I was teaching, and I still believe it. It's good stuff. And I forget that I made good stuff that is still good and that I can still promote. So go buy it, and that's
Do you read the Audible book?
I read the Audible book myself, and that's sometimes make like smacking sounds in my mouth because I have dry mouth because I take Adderall, and it makes me a really dry mouth because I have ADHD. But that happens sometimes. So other than that, it's all good.
People, there's a marker for that.
I know, it's like
And it's ASMR kind of thing. Yeah, those people would really like it. If you're into ASMR, you might really like that.
Even if you're not into sustainable spirituality, if you're really into ASMR, you may
They just want to hear me smack my lips a little. That's right. Give it a try.
Yes, sustainable spirituality. Todd Rodarmel. We'll put links in the show notes for sure. And it's been a while since I read that, but it is good, and I did enjoy it. And I remember actually, I texted you once. I was sitting on the beach in Doheny. Like a good dad, I'd gotten up to take my daughter down for dawn patrol to go surfing, her and her friend. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to be sitting down here. And it's still dark outside. And so I had that and sitting in my beach chair. I think I just texted you, my dear man, it's good. This is good. This is helping me today.
It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. What? Might help you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll do some feedback next time.
Yeah. We'll do it next time. But listeners, thank you. As always, all the things, the liking and subscribing, I know it sounds old and tropish and goofy and like that, but it does help us become more discoverable for other people. So if you think this is something that others might be interested in as well, the subscribes are always great. But other than that, the thing that we care about the most is just share it with one other person. Do it personally. If you enjoyed this episode, you thought it was useful, and you think someone else would find it useful too, share it with that one other person, because I think the word of mouth thing works really well, and personal referrals are great.
Oh, that's way of loving your neighbor and yourself if you're into that sort of thing.
Some have said it's the best way.
Is to share this podcast.
And no greater love.
Has any man to share the
Bro, the Bible says here podcast. That's it's a different translation most people aren't aware of. But if you get to the original Greek, that's actually how it's the original Greek. Yeah, these are so great. Oh my gosh, now we're done. Okay, thanks for tuning in. This is Breath, Vitals, and Beer. For Todd, Zach, and Andy, Grace.
Peace and shoes.